No matter which political party is on top, the working class is always put last. So why can't the American working class unify once and for all? Why are we constantly arguing over culture, over race, instead of being in solidarity over economics? Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, why can't we all just get along? Because in 1676, when we did, Virginia almost burned to the ground. And with it, the elite class's control over all of us. A rebellion broke out, one that terrified elites so much that they rewrote the rules of social status forever, for the sole reason of making sure that this never happened again. It was called Bacon's Rebellion, and it wasn't a culture war. It was our first class war. See, back then, the American we know now was just a collection of colonies, and the first was the Jamestown colony in Virginia. It was run by a small group of wealthy landowners, and they were the elite. They owned everything, the means to land, the means to labor, and the means to making laws. Now, below them were poor settlers, mostly white. They were indentured servants who had to work for free about 5 to 7 years. In return, they'd receive land or just their freedom. This was the way for a lot of Europeans to immigrate and start their families in America. And then finally, at the bottom of the social class was chattel slavery, people that were forever enslaved, no contract, no land, no end date. Now, these poor white people and poor black people, they lived together. They lived and worked side by side. They shared labor, they shared cabins, and they shared in misery. And over time, they started to realize something dangerous, that they had a lot more in common than they did with the elite class. In fact, they realized that thing that they had in common were poor living conditions, which were a result of their leaders. So the indentured servants got fed up. They wanted protection from the Native American raids. They wanted lower taxes. They wanted better land. They wanted a bigger voice in government. So they clicked up with a wealthy and also angry colonist named Nathaniel Bacon. And he had his own problems with the governor. But they joined forces, started a militia, and marched to the capital, where they burned Jamestown to the ground. And it was working. It was almost successful. They took over the entire colony. But then Nathaniel Bacon catches dysentery and dies. And the militia never realigns under a new leader, at least not quick enough before backup arrives from England to settle the situation, to settle the uprising. England was this close to losing an important colony in the middle of the English Empire falling. This scared elites more than anything else ever had, and not because of the violence, but because they saw what happens when the poor unite across racial lines. So after they crushed the rebellion, they rewrote the rules. They ended indentured servitude, kept chattel slavery, made that a permanent hereditary system, and they gave the poor whites just enough freedom, just enough land, just enough responsibility, so they felt that they would have something to lose. So they invented whiteness, and it became the badge of honor to say, hey, I am somebody. And just like that, poor white folks stopped siding with the people that they work beside and started siding with the people that they work for.